1. Letting go reveals what truly matters. Have you ever tried to clean out a cluttered room and suddenly realized how much stuff you never really needed? That's a lot like what happens inside us when we start letting go. Not just of physical things, but of expectations, regrets, comparisons, of stories we've told ourselves for so long that we forgot they were just stories. You see, the mind is noisy. It's full of shoulds, what ifs, and not enoughs. And when we are constantly holding on to control, to the past, to how life should look, we lose touch with what actually brings us peace, or joy, or connection. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It's not apathy. It's clarity. When the noise dies down, you start to hear the quiet truth underneath. What actually matters. What actually nourishes your soul. Not what feeds your ego or impresses others, but what makes you feel deeply alive, even in the most ordinary moments. Here's the paradox. The more you try to control your life, the more anxious you feel. But when you start releasing that need to grip everything tightly, life becomes softer, lighter, real. Think of a tree. When autumn comes, it lets go of its leaves. Not because it's broken, but because it trusts the process. It knows spring will return, but first, it needs to rest. We are not so different. We hold on to things, relationships, identities, jobs, old dreams, long after they've stopped serving us. Because letting go feels like failure, or loss, or even death. But maybe it's the opposite. Maybe it's birth. The birth of a deeper awareness. A life that's aligned with your values, not your fears. With your essence, not your image. So let me ask you, what in your life feels heavy right now? What are you clinging to out of habit, not love? And what would happen if you put it down? Not forever. Just for a moment. Just enough to breathe. Just enough to see clearly. Because when we are no longer caught in the chase, chasing perfection, chasing status, chasing approval, something shifts. We begin to feel, to notice, to be. And in that stillness, we often discover that what we thought we needed, we don't. And what we ignored, quiet mornings, honest conversations, a walk in the woods, those were the things that truly mattered all along. Letting go isn't an end. It's an invitation to come home. To yourself. To now. And in that sacred space, you realize something simple, yet profound. You already have enough. You already are enough. You just needed to make room to remember. 2. Desire disturbs the inner peace. Have you ever noticed how, whenever you really want something, your mind is no longer here? We start daydreaming about the future, when we finally get it. Or we dwell in the past, when we once had it, or when we missed our chance. And somewhere in between those two worlds, we lose the one thing that truly matters, the present moment. Desire, whether subtle or intense, tends to pull us out of now. Our mind no longer rests like a still morning lake. Instead, it becomes stirred, clouded by expectation, anxiety, and fear. Fear of not getting what we want. Fear of losing it. Fear of not being enough. And in that mental noise, we often make poor choices. We might take a job that doesn't align with us, just because it seems secure. Stay in a relationship that drains us, because we're afraid of being alone. Chase a lifestyle that's not truly ours, just to feel accepted. What's tricky is, we think we are making rational decisions. But most of the time, it's our ego calling the shots. The ego always wants more, faster, better. It whispers, happiness is over there. You'll feel complete once you get that. But here's the truth. When we let go of that constant craving, something shifts. The mind becomes clearer. We begin to see what truly matters. We start responding from awareness, not from autopilot reactions. Let me ask you this. The thing you're chasing so hard right now, do you really need it? Or is it just an echo of an old fear, a wound that hasn't healed yet? Sometimes, it's not about wanting less. It's about needing less noise. 3. Letting go creates space for clarity. Have you ever let go of something you once believed was essential? A relationship, an old dream, an expectation that used to define your path? Letting go isn't failure. It's not giving up. It's a pause, a conscious choice to stop grasping, to stop chasing what no longer serves your soul. Sometimes, we cling so tightly we forget to ask, do I still want this? Or has it simply become a habit of wanting? And it's in that pause, that sacred moment of release, where something profound begins to unfold. The noise quiets down. The anxious inner dialogue fades. The clutter in your mind begins to settle. In that stillness, clarity begins to rise. Inner insight, not from books, not from others, but from within, starts to speak. You begin to see what truly matters and what was just a mirage shaped by fear or desire. It's like watching a lake grow calm after a storm. Only when the surface becomes still can we see the reflection clearly. In the same way, when our mind stops being stirred by craving or control, we can finally recognize what's real. Love doesn't mean possession. Success doesn't require burnout. And happiness? It doesn't exist out there in the next achievement. It exists right here, in this moment. So ask yourself, have I created space for stillness in my life? Or am I filling every gap with noise, more work, more scrolling, more expectations? You can't hear the voice of your true self if you're always tuned in to the world static. Letting go is not just about saying no, it's about making room for truth to enter. Letting go helps us tell the difference between ego and soul. Have you ever wanted something so badly, recognition, control, a perfect plan, that you convinced yourself it was essential to your happiness? That it was your calling, your truth? But later, after some time passed, you realized maybe it wasn't what your soul actually needed. It was just what your ego craved. This confusion is more common than we think. The ego speaks loudly. It wants validation, praise, control, certainty. It wants to win, to be seen, to be right. But the soul whispers. It longs for peace, for freedom, for authenticity. And that's the tricky part. When we are tangled in desire, it's easy to mistake the ego's voice for the soul's. We start chasing things that don't truly nourish us. Titles, followers, perfect outcomes, external approval. We push harder, grasp tighter, thinking that once we get it, we'll finally feel whole. But letting go, just pausing, even for a moment, creates space. Space for clarity. It's like mist lifting from a mirror. You begin to see the reflection of what actually matters. The ego may scream for control, but the soul wants to breathe. The ego may chase achievements, but the soul seeks presence. I once thought I needed to control every outcome in my life. I thought if I planned well enough, work hard enough, I could avoid pain and guarantee success. But all it brought was exhaustion and distance from myself. Only when I loosened my grip, when I allowed uncertainty, did something shift. I realized I didn't need to win. I needed to feel again. I needed to come home to myself. So here's a question. Are you living your life to impress someone, or to align with your truth? Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means letting go of what isn't truly yours, so you can return to what is. It's how we stop confusing the voice of fear with the voice of wisdom. And when that happens, something beautiful unfolds. We start living from soul, not ego. From peace, not pressure. From freedom, not fear. 5. Clarity comes from letting go, not holding on. Have you ever tried to see your reflection in a pond while the surface is rippling? The more you splash, the blurrier your image becomes. But when the water becomes still, it reflects everything with perfect clarity. Our minds are the same. Many of us grow up believing that the more we control, the more we hold on, plan, fix, and manage, the more we'll understand life. We cling to relationships, identities, outcomes, even pain, thinking that if we hold tight enough, we'll somehow make sense of everything. But here's the paradox. The tighter we grip, the more distorted things become. Letting go doesn't mean we are giving up. It means we are finally creating the conditions for clarity to arise naturally. When we stop chasing answers, the answers often come to us. When we stop forcing direction, the path quietly unfolds beneath our feet. Think about it. When was the last time you truly saw something clearly? Not through the lens of fear, expectation, or attachment, but through calm presence. That clarity usually comes in moments of pause, when we surrender the need to figure it all out. Letting go is not passive. It's a powerful, intentional act of trust. It says, I don't need to control this moment to be okay. I don't need to hold on to understand. I can allow things to be as they are, and in that allowing, I see more clearly than ever before. So if you're feeling confused, overwhelmed, or stuck, maybe the answer isn't to hold on tighter. Maybe it's to loosen your grip, just a little. Let the water settle. Let the noise quiet. And trust that in the stillness, the truth will gently reveal itself. 6. Letting go doesn't mean losing, it means seeing more clearly. We often think that letting go is a kind of loss, like giving up something we love or walking away from something important. But what if letting go isn't about losing anything, but about gaining clarity? Letting go doesn't mean turning your back on the people, memories, or dreams you hold dear. It simply means loosening your grip on the things, or the versions of things, that no longer nourish who you're becoming. Sometimes we hold on not out of love, but out of fear. Fear of change. Fear of emptiness. Fear of not knowing who we are without what we cling to. But here's the truth. Growth often asks us to set down what once made sense, so we can see what's truly aligned with us now. Think of a bookshelf overflowing with old books you'll never read again. The shelf is full, but it's cluttered. There's no space for something new. Letting go is like gently clearing that space, not out of rejection, but out of readiness. Out of trust that life will fill that shelf with something more resonant, more true, more you. And sometimes, after we let go, we realize we didn't lose anything important at all. We just lost the illusion that we needed it to be whole. So the question is, what are you holding on to that feels heavy? What are you clinging to out of habit, not out of harmony? Letting go isn't about loving less, it's about loving with more awareness. It's about making space for what matters now, not yesterday. Because the clearer your heart, the more gently and wisely it can hold the things that really belong. Letting go doesn't shrink your life. It refines it. It reveals what's essential. And in that clarity, there is peace. 7. True awareness comes from within, not from the outside. There's a quiet shift that happens when we stop chasing approval, applause, or validation from the world outside, and start listening to the still, steady voice within us. Letting go of external expectations isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's the moment you realize, I no longer need to fit into someone else's idea of a good life. It's the moment you stop asking, what should I do? And start asking, what feels true to me? This is where real awareness begins, not in the noise, but in the stillness. Have you ever made a decision that no one else understood, but deep down, it just felt right? That's your inner wisdom speaking. That's your intuition, a quiet, powerful compass that often gets drowned out by the voices of the world. But once you let go of the need to meet everyone's expectations, that voice grows louder, clearer, more trustworthy. I've come to believe that one of the most radical acts in a noisy world is to be still, to pause, to breathe, and to ask yourself, what do I know to be true, not because someone told me, but because I've lived it? This is what letting go gives us, not emptiness, but space. Space to listen. Space to feel. Space to decide from the inside out. We don't need 1,000 opinions to know what matters. We just need one honest connection with ourselves. So the next time you feel unsure, don't rush to Google or ask everyone around you for answers. Try going inward. Sit with yourself. Trust that the clarity you're looking for isn't out there. It's already alive in you, waiting to be heard. Because the more you trust your own knowing, the less you'll be swayed by the winds of the world. And in that trust, you'll find peace. 8. Letting go is a return to core values. Have you ever chased something, a goal, a status, a version of yourself, only to arrive and feel empty? As if you were living someone else's life? That's often the sign that we are not aligned with our core values, but being pulled by desires shaped by the outside world, societal expectations, peer pressure, or the fear of being left behind. And here's the paradox. It's only when we let go that things become clear. When we are no longer caught in a race of more, faster, better, we finally have the space to ask ourselves, what truly gives my life meaning? Letting go isn't about giving up on life. It's about returning. Returning to compassion, to honesty, to simplicity, and above all, to connection. Not just with others, but with your own soul. I once thought that living right meant becoming successful by the world's standards. But the further I walked, the more I realized, living right means living in harmony with your deepest truths, even if that means walking a different path than most. So if you're feeling lost, maybe don't reach for something more just yet. Try letting go, gently, and come back inward. Because sometimes, happiness isn't found in what we gain, but in remembering what truly matters to us. 9. Letting go helps us reorder our priorities. Have you ever had so many things on your mind that you couldn't tell what truly mattered anymore? When we want too much, more success, more recognition, more security, it's easy to get lost. Everything feels important, so nothing actually stands out. We begin chasing 10 different paths, only to realize we are standing still. Letting go, in this sense, is not about becoming indifferent. It's about clearing the fog. It's about making space to see, really see, what genuinely deserves our energy. Think of your life like a cluttered room. Every want is another object you're holding onto. When the room is too full, you can't walk freely, you can't breathe easily. But when you begin to release what no longer serves you, suddenly there's clarity. Suddenly, you can see the things that truly matter, the few treasures hidden beneath the noise. Letting go isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's just the quiet decision to stop proving yourself to people who were never watching, or the choice to let go of a plan that no longer feels alive in your hands. In these small moments, your inner compass starts to point more clearly. You begin to remember what you care about, not what the world told you to chase. Here's a question. If you could only keep 5 things in your life, habits, relationships, values, what would they be? What would you be willing to release to feel lighter, freer, more aligned? Letting go reorders the soul. It shows us that not everything is meant to be carried. And that's okay. Because what remains is what was always meant to stay. 10. Only when we let go do we see what's worth keeping. We often think letting go is about losing, about giving something up, walking away, or surrendering. And yes, it is all those things. But at its heart, letting go is not a loss. It's a revelation. When we release what no longer serves us, old expectations, stale beliefs, relationships built on fear, we don't end up with less. We end up with clarity. Like a fog lifting, we begin to see what was there all along but had been buried under the noise. The irony is, we spend so much of our lives trying to hold everything together, every plan, every version of who we think we should be, every hope we were taught to chase. But in doing so, we often lose sight of what truly matters. Letting go doesn't take away what's important. It reveals it. Think about the people you've met who radiate peace, not because they have everything, but because they've made peace with not needing everything. They've let go of proving, of performing, of perfecting. And in that quiet space, they found something stronger, truth, love, and a deeper presence with themselves. I remember a time when I was trying to do it all. Achieve more, earn more, be more. I was exhausted, but too afraid to stop. Then one day, something inside me just paused. I let go, not in a dramatic way, but in a quiet, tired kind of way. I let go of needing to always be on. And in that stillness, I noticed things I hadn't seen in years. The warmth of my morning coffee, the way light danced across the room, how alive I felt just sitting in silence. That moment taught me something. Sometimes, the most important things aren't big or loud. They're just buried beneath all the things we thought we couldn't live without. So here's a question worth asking. What are you holding onto that's keeping you from seeing what truly matters? And what might bloom in your life if you had the courage to let it go? Letting go is not an ending. It's an invitation. It's the beginning of seeing life with new eyes, of choosing what deserves your energy, of recognizing the few beautiful truths worth keeping: honesty, kindness, and the ability to be deeply present with your own heart. And when we live from that place, not from fear, but from grounded presence, we don't just survive. We begin to bloom.